Today I wanted to talk about how I started boxing and the challenges that I faced to get to where I am now. The goal for this video is to inspire anyone either on the fence for training or for anyone that's already started to encourage them further in their boxing career. I wanted to start off with how I even got here in the first place. I grew up in a small city in Minnesota, and how it even came into fruition was my parents bought me these pair of boxing gloves back in high school. Growing up, I was on the chubbier side, and as I entered high school, I had a newfound interest in exercise. And a group of friends and I started this backyard boxing. And being teenagers without any formal experience or training at all didn't go very well. My first sparring session was just me blocking the entire match. Continued to do it more and more. I started gaining the confidence to actually try and throw a punch. And after about a couple years of possibly giving each other brain damage, I finally decided to get into a boxing gym. At this point in time, I didn't have like a lot of sports experience or anything in regards to that. The most I've had was running every now and then, like at most 3 miles, or weightlifting after school. So I had no idea what to really expect, and it went horribly. My arms were dead fucking tired. I even had nightmares that night from how intense the training was, and I didn't even think that was even possible, that you could get nightmares from that. After about a month of training, I started to get used to it, and about 3 months later, I started thinking about having my first sparring session. For a couple of months, I think this was about the 6-month mark, I finally got my first sparring session. This day really stands out to me because this is the day that I had to quit my job in order to do this. And a little backstory on that. I was working at this fast food company, and I was supposed to be scheduled for just mornings, but for whatever reason on this day where I had scheduled off, they had me working the whole day. And I had placed enough importance on this first sparring match to ask for this off about a month in advance, but they still decided to keep me on the schedule. And I know I probably could have just done it on a different day or week or so, but I felt like if I didn't do this at this certain point of time, that I wasn't gonna be doing it at all. Because that gym in particular was very insistent on not having newer guys sparring there for whatever reason, and they mainly had the guys that were training there for years spar and not giving any opportunities for anyone else really. So not wanting to miss this chance, I ended up leaving my job. First sparring session went as well as you could imagine. I got my ass kicked. After about the second round, I started talking to my cornerman, you know, beaten up and bloodied from my nose. He asked me if I just wanted to sit out this last round, and like, I don't know if it was because I wasn't thinking clearly or this was like my actual thought at the time. I told him I was going to go through with it because this was gonna make me world class. He looked at me funny. He was just like, thinking about it now, I probably would have reacted the same way though. I somehow managed to finish off the third round, and I tried to do my regular training routine. I was so beaten up and exhausted that I could barely do my warm-up. At this point, I was kind of contemplating whether I should continue to do this or not because it was that bad of a beating. And after doing my warm-up, I was actually just about to go home, and the corner man actually came up to me. He asked if I was going to be training with any of the other coaches that day, and I told him no. I was just going to go home actually, and he just told me to stay with him and do some training. So I ended up staying a little bit longer and did his training session. After I finished the last exercise that he wanted to do, he stopped and he looked at me and he tells me, "You just did a professional workout." And ever since then, I just continue to box. I feel like if that coach in particular didn't give me those words of encouragement, I probably would have just stopped boxing altogether. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to go through the struggle that was to come next. I was going to college at the same time, and the boxing gym that I was going to was about an hour and a half away from where I lived. So I had to make the choice whether I wanted to go to college or continue to box. So I thought the right choice was to go to college. I actually ended up moving out of my hometown to attend a university. And this is where things got really depressing for me, because I grew up in a lower middle class household, so money wasn't really something that I had going into this. And at this point I completed 2 years of a technical college, so I was thinking it was going to be the same thing, but I was way wrong with that. When I enrolled for classes, I thought that my financial aid was going to cover all the classes, so I ended up having to pay out of pocket in order to stay in that university. So now what I thought was going to be a cakewalk of college ended up being significantly more difficult. I had very little savings going into this, which was kind of dumb of me to do, but like I said, I thought it was going to be just like a technical college where all the loans covered the courses. So now at this point I'm trying to work enough hours in order to be able to not go bankrupt. At one point all I was eating was peanut butter and bananas because of how much I was struggling financially. The only thing that was really keeping me going at this point of time was caffeine and a punching bag that I bought. And where I was living, for whatever reason, didn't allow punching bags on their porches. Their reasoning that they sent me through the mail was it wasn't furniture, so I guess that was against their rules. And I started to fall into a depression. I was going to college and work, like just feeling dead inside. That's when I realized that boxing to me was more important than college. And after the spring semester, I ended up just moving back in with my parents. From there on out, I just continued to box and do what I do now. I'm not professional by any means, at least not yet. And I don't think I'm in any position to be coaching anyone. But with this channel, I'm hoping to inspire some of the viewers, show that it is possible. Right now, my current record is 4-1 for amateurs, and I'm hoping to get more bouts here in the near future. Hopefully I can make it to professional level and show you guys that it is possible for anyone. I'm just an average guy trying to do extraordinary things. If you guys liked the video, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you again soon. There you go, do it again. Yeah!